ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. What happens when you forget something in the syllabus of the subject that you're studying? For example, we are studying for an exam and we forget to study maybe one or two sections or chapters or whatever it is. So this happens to me, this happened to many of us who are chartered accountants. The syllabus is so vast that we invariably, I think many others also would have experienced this, we invariably leave a few topics saying that ye is exam mein nahi aayega. This is a very normal thing. So we said we'll drop it. And then 2 days or 4 days before the exam, we say everything is prepared. And then say, oh, I have not prepared that. And then you start going through the book. Hurry, I have not read it. I have not read it. You become anxious. This is very common. That, we drop certain things in the syllabus and then we start panicking towards the later part. So we go back to study that when we realize that something is missing. Now, when we look at what we have gone through the journey so far, in chapter 2, we said it is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is the philosophy of understanding life and understanding how we need to take our life actions, how we need to think, how we need to work, how we need to act, etc., etc. Then that was followed by a more subtle discussion on Karma Yoga, the way we must work, which was followed by Jnana Yoga, the way we need to gain knowledge that we must gain, and how that knowledge is going to be useful. And later on, we move towards application of that knowledge with a right understanding of our mind. But where is devotion in this? Where is love in this? So far, we have traveled 11 chapters. There is no mention about devotion as such, as a separate topic, or love. In fact, there are many people who believe that bhakti, that is Bhakti Yoga, is not there in Gita. But really, this is when we are coming to chapter 12, when we are discussing Bhakti. In a different context, we learn the idea of how we must surrender. We've been told that we have to surrender, how we must surrender. How is it that we can develop faith? That is what we are discussing now. So when we understood thus far, very logically, that every variety of experience that we encounter in our life, in whatever that we do, they are all merging into that highest principle, which is that God principle, that life energy. We know that they are all merging into that because they are also coming from there and they merge back there. So we understood that that variety which we experience is nothing but an expression of that supreme power, which is playing in the realm of our mind, our intellect, through our body, and which is merging again back into the highest. If this we understand with our buddhi, we know, theek hai, barobar hai, ye ho sakta hai. Then I mentioned last time that for my 60th birthday celebration, I did not go into the ritualistic celebration which we normally do. What did I do? We went, me and my wife Rajni, we went to Tirupati, we went to Kanchipuram, holy places. But why did I have to do that? When rituals are known that, this is what we do and a lot of people can be called, etc. Why did I have to go to temples? Why did I have to go to a place of worship when I already know with my intellect that I have to realize the highest principle through my own self-effort, and that is the only reality. There is no other reality. So the worlds of various names and forms which I encounter are only created for my senses to capture, for my 5 senses to capture. Then why am I running after the same name and form combo by going to a temple, etc.? So we will understand that. So first I am going to play verse 1 to 11 of chapter 12, and then we will take the journey forward.
Atha dvadashodhyayah Bhakti Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Evam satata yuktaya bhaktas tvam paryupasate ye ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषामव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात्। भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मनमाधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय। अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि। अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान्।
We all go to temples. All of us go to temples. What happens when you go to a temple? Many times you've also seen, people are walking along the road. There is a temple on the, on the roadside. They go from there and they say, like this. They keep on walking. Correct? So why is it that people do like that? It is some sort of a reverence because there is God inside. But where is your attention? Your attention is that on that walking. Your attention is on the movement that you're doing. Your attention is not on the Lord at all. In fact, when we go for our morning walk, there is a Sai Baba temple just behind our road. So we cross that. Every time we cross that, we halt, we pay attention to Baba and say whatever prayer we want to say. So this is what actually happens in a temple, that you go there to pray, right? So standing in front of the Lord, what are you actually doing? You stand in front of the Lord and then you say, मुझे ये problem है, ये solve करके दे दो. My children are in difficulty, you resolve that. Let my children be happy. That money which I lost, let it come back. That property dispute which is going on, let it be decided in my favor. Our mind is all in transactions. Our mind is not on the Lord at all, because most of the time this is what happens. We are standing there and doing transactions with the Lord. I'll just share a slide so that we will understand what I'm trying to capture. This is of course a picture of Mahalakshmi, but if you look at every image of every god in our Hindu scriptures, you will find that they are standing like this, one hand down and the right hand up. What is the meaning of that? That you give me your unpurified mind in surrender to me, and as you are standing in front of me, I will purify and return it back to you. This is the approach of, basically this is the, what can I say? This is the principle of every god. But what are we doing? When we are going there, we are praying for something or the other. And particularly when we are talking about Mahalakshmi, we want that her hand which is there, from that gold coins must come and then that we should get. So we are talking in terms of material possessions that we must get. That is our attitude. So how is it that we must pray? When we pray, we must pray with both our hands in Namaste and in obeisance. This is how we must pray. Why both hands? Because as all the points, from an acupressure perspective when we look at it, as all the points on the fingers and the palm touch each other, there is an energy creation which happens throughout our entire body. And in that energy creation, when we surrender that my entire energy, I am surrendering it to you, that you are the one who's making everything happen, that is the attitude that is required in prayer. But what is the attitude with which we go? Invariably, either when we are praying, our hands open. We are praying, our hands open. Or sometimes our hand is always like this. This position is to say, you give me, you give me, you give me, you give me, give me, give me. This is the mindset with which we are going. So when we really look at what is the attitude when we should have when we stand in prayer, we realize that God, he or she, is still waiting. They are still waiting. They are unemployed. They are just waiting for us to give our impure mind in surrender to them so that they can purify it and return it. Because our mind is running after our preoccupations. We are not willing to surrender. So then where is the question of purification possible? What we know with our intellect, we don't bring our mind on that, because it is our mind which has to translate there. We don't bring our mind there while we are standing before him. Actually, what we are doing, we are not praying before God. We are praying, P-R-E-Y-I-N-G, praying like animals. We are praying upon God. That we are saying, Ayo, give me this. Ayo, protect me from this. Ayo, look after my children. This is what is our attitude. That is what we need to relook at in our attitude when we look at prayer. The belief that we have, whatever is the belief that we have, when that belief is reinforced with correct understanding, that is when belief becomes faith. But we always believe, we believe that there is a higher reality, we believe that there is a God, we believe that there is some supreme strength, etc. But we never develop that faith because that understanding has not sunk into us. How will that sink into us? The more you suffer, the more you hold on. In fact, today we were discussing about what as infants, what the infants do. You know, infants meaning maybe about 2 years, 3-year-old children, when they do. Daddy is not been coming, daddy is regularly touring, going outside, etc., etc. Suddenly daddy comes. What do? They hold on to the legs of the father, saying that, Daddy, where did you go away? That is faith, that the daddy is my protector and that I don't want to leave you. That is what faith, that is what the belief is, that daddy is there. And the faith is when you know with correct understanding that the protector, the person who will look after me, the person who will provide for me is my daddy. That is what it is. And when you have faith, faith can move mountains. We have heard that many times, isn't it? So the faith moving mountains example, again I will share a slide. This is from the Bible, that your faith can move mountains and your own doubt can create those mountains. So the obstacles that we face are because of the doubts that we have, self-doubts that we have. And our faith that I can overcome any challenge, it can move mountains. Who is the best example of faith being able to move mountains? Hanumanji. Because all the Lord told him was that Lakshmana is not well. He requires a particular booty from Sanjeevani mountains. So please go and fetch it. He went there and he got confused, because I am not some Ayurvedic doctor or something that I will know what is that booty. So what I will do? I will bring the entire mountain. He brought the entire mountain and left it at the Lord's feet. He didn't know that he could do it. He just had faith in the Lord. That my Lord has told me that I must get it. I can get it. That faith you must have. Then you can move mountains. This is what we always need to remember. Now, whatever, as I said, whatever we have understood with our intellect, it must come as our first thought in any calamity, any negative situation that we encounter. Because we have understood with our intellect that there is highest principle which is running everything. That must be always reinforced in our mind. That is how faith becomes strong. I'll give you one example, personal. About a month or so ago, I went to meet my aunt. She passed away a couple of days ago. I went to meet my aunt, and she's 86. She said, I want to go. I want to die. Basically, that's what she said. I said, why are you saying that? Your entire life you have only spent in chanting the name of the Lord. You've only been saying Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. So just go ahead and do that. Call Narayana. When the time comes, he will take you. You have faith. Your surrender must be to that name only. Just keep calling him. When your time comes, you don't know. Only we will know, because after you have gone, he will take you. Why are you worried about his having to take you? So she said, yes, that is right. Because in the agony of what is going on, because I'm not being useful, this is how old people feel. Geriatric minds are like that. So this is what happened. And 3 days ago, when she was 4 days ago, really, when she was suffered a heart attack, we were taking her in the ambulance. I said, Narayana, even though she could not mumble even one word of other things, I asked her, how are you? She couldn't speak because she suffered an attack. She could not mumble anything. I said Narayana, she said Narayana. 4 5 times it happens. Because what happens? In your heart, you have the faith that Narayana is my savior. So we understand another thing, that we love only our relationships without love to God. This is what happens to most of us. When we say we love our relationships. My parents, my spouse, my children, my friend, my so and so. So we love our relationships, necessary. But can you say that you love your God? How many of us are able to say that? So love to that highest principle itself is the one that purifies our relationships, the relationships that we follow, and also our own inner self. But our problem is that we are limited in our love. So the song that comes to my mind here is a Jagjit Singh song. प्यार मुझसे जो किया तुमने तो क्या पाओगी, मेरे हालात की आंधी में बिखर जाओगी. So this is what happens. Our love is to that limited extent to whatever we have, and in that each of our situations can actually create negative encounters for us. Whereas once we surrender to that highest principle, then automatically everything else becomes possible. We also understand, what am I doing for the last 30th session? I'm using words. I'm using words and language to describe the highest principle. Actually, God cannot be captured in definitions or words. That we all need to understand first and foremost. Then what are we doing? We are describing. Why are we describing? Because we know language. But can you limit God in language? No, we cannot. Because all those words or descriptions that we are using are only indicative. They are descriptive. What we are trying to do is comparison of one thought about something with a comparison with another thought. And in that comparison, we are trying to infer. We are trying to infer the unknown, which is the highest principle. So when you want to know something unknown, how will you describe that unknown? The unknown is always described by something which is known. For example, if probably a couple of years ago, I went to a restaurant and one of my clients, they said, sir, will you eat sushi? Now, I had not even heard the word sushi. I mean, of course, I had heard the word, but I never bothered to find out what it is. It is some sort of a Japanese dish which is normally used with fish, etc. So I said, what is sushi? So he said, you know, sir, we make that modak, no, for salty modak which we make for Ganpati. Yeah. So that, like that salty, that modak, they prepare a rice covering and then on that they put fillings. I said, that is, you said that is fish. No, vegetarian is also available. I will get you sushi. So you understand something unknown through something which is known. Like, for example, you are standing there and somebody is there, and then your friend brings somebody across. You say, you know who he is? He's Bala. I said, who Bala? Bala, you know, the son of Ramnath. Who Ramnath? That Ramnath who's from that so-and-so village. Which village? Arey, it is about 2 furlongs away from your village. Ah, okay, that, okay, fine. And then that person goes away. Somebody else who comes to me, who's that? I said, he's Bala. You know him? No, he is that village, somebody from that village. So your relationship is to something which is known. From that, you are identifying something which is unknown. So these descriptions are pointers to the pointed. You are pointing towards the highest, but these descriptions are pointers which give us an identification of the pointed, which is the highest principle. So our problem is we misconceive the pointer to be the pointed. Like, it is like saying that sushi and that modak are the same. They are not. They are different. So we misconceive the sushi to be the modak. So we misconceive the pointer to become the pointed. So the Lord remains confined in our mind to the images or the names that we know. like we discussed in the last couple of sessions about the Vishwarupam. So the images that we know, the Lord remains confined to that. We actually need to drop the pointer to know what is the pointed. Unless you do that, you will not be able to climb higher. So the faith has to become strong and firm, that will, with my own self-effort, I will reach the highest. Now, when this comes to my mind, I am reminded of one movie, Choti Si Baat. Many of us would have watched that movie. In that movie, there is one character called Colonel Wilfred Nagendranath Singh. Ashok Kumar plays that character. Now, I'll just share that Amal Palekar is seeking him for him to teach the knowledge of how to approach a girl and communicate that I love you, so that that girl whom he actually loves, she becomes his beloved. So I'll just share that image. So he has to go to Khandala, and at Khandala he is given arrows about how to reach Colonel Julius Nagendranath Wilfred Singh, how to reach him. So the pointers are given. Through the pointers, he will reach the place where that colonel is staying. And once he meets the colonel, what the colonel will do is help him, teach him, tutor him, guide him to understand how to woo the girl that he loves, so that she becomes his beloved. So the pointers are a direction for us to reach the pointed, which is the God of our choice. In this case, Amol Palekar's God of his choice was that JSW Singh. So when when I'm talking about the movie, the song that comes to my mind is Lata Mangeshkar singing the title song. न जाने क्यों होता है ये जिंदगी के साथ, अचानक ये मन किसी के जाने के बाद करे फिर उसकी याद छोटी छोटी सी बात, न जाने क्यों. So, okay, this has got nothing to do with the discussion we have. Just remember the song. So now, if we talk about that highest principle, what kind of words did we sort of encounter as we were discussing that? We said it is unmanifest. We said it is indescribable. It is imperishable. It is omnipresent. It is unthinkable. It is unchangeable. It is immovable. It is eternal. When you look at all these words, each of those words are just an arrow mark for sending our mind and intellect towards the highest, so that we start thinking. How will I give you an example for this? Let us say I'm working in a very big company, a multinational. Now, in the multinational, there is a chairman. Now, for example, many years we did not know who the chairman of ITC was. Correct? Long ago. So, there is a big company and then there is a chairman. Now, he is the chairman of my company. The chairman is somebody who does not like publicity about himself. There is not even a photo of the chairman, because he's what can I say? He's a professional person, but he does not believe in propagating his own imagery, etc. There is not even a photo of the chairman in the company. But everybody knows that so-and-so is the chairman. I have been working there for 20 years. A very few handful of my colleagues have met him, and they say very nice things about him, how he has contributed to the company's progress, etc. I have no clue who he is. So it develops my own curiosity. But because the company is successful, with all the collective efforts of mine and plus all my people, the company is a successful entity and I'm working in that company. So now the chairman, who is that without a face, because I have not seen his face, I have not seen his image, he becomes a subject of my deification. Ayo, chairman is so great. Have you seen him? No. Have you seen his photo? No. Do you know his name? Yes, but I don't know. So he is God. So that is the way when I can give you a real-time explanation of how we can understand this principle. So if you are some sort of an emotional kind of a person, you will be drawn towards the personality of the greatest, of the highest principle, like the chairman of the company where I am working. Whereas if you are an intellectual kind, you will be driven towards the higher knowledge. That will drive your growth of the growth of those people around you. Like for example, in my company, there is a CEO. Chairman, I don't know, but there is a CEO. Everybody, including me, follow the leadership of the CEO. And CEO is hands-on with me and with everybody else. So the intellect that we all drive together is what is making the company grow. The CEO is also important. The chairman is also important. Both are responsible for the growth and glory of the company. And of course, in this case, we are discussing the highest principle, which is responsible for the growth and glory of the world itself. So this is the way we can understand. So it is important for us to keep both in mind, the emotional side as well as the intellectual side. The goal for both is that God, the highest principle that we can aspire for. And all our actions, whether it is emotionally driven or intellectually driven, they are focused towards this highest goal. Like, for example, if I want to be rich, my only goal is that I want to be rich. Now, if I want to be rich, I cannot be rich by only earning. Earning, yes, important. Earning rightly, very, very important. I must learn the art of spending wisely also. Because and if I spend everything, then I'm not becoming wealthy, I'm not becoming rich. And I must earn the art of investing intelligently also. So every action of mine, whether it is earning, whether it is spending, whether it is investing, everything, preservation, everything must be regulated towards reaching that goal. In our case, the highest goal that we can aspire for is what? Highest goal is that God principle, that supreme principle. So keep the picture of the highest always in mind, in the heart, and nothing else. The highest, when you keep it, automatically everything below that becomes very easily possible. So we must learn that without the highest, there is nothing. The song that comes to my mind is तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई शिकवा तो नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, शिकवा नहीं, तेरे बिना जिंदगी भी लेकिन जिंदगी तो नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं, जिंदगी नहीं. So this is what we must understand. It is that highest principle which is our anchor at all times, and everything that we are performing, succeeding, achieving is all because of that principle which is enlivening everything for us. So mind purification, this is what we were discussing now. Mind purification is possible is only if there is an altar. We need an altar, no? We need somewhere from where purification is possible. For example, if I want to purify something and I have to clean it with water, only then it becomes purified. Similarly, for the purification of the mind, we need an altar. And the altar can be an image, it can be a name, something which I love dearly. I must love that altar or the name or that image very dearly. And I should be in a position to devote myself entirely to that. So if you look at it from that perspective, a personal God is unavoidable. Every one of us has a God that we all worship. For example, I may do a puja of Shivalinga, you will do a puja of the cross, somebody else will do a puja of maybe Nanak's photo. Everybody will need a personal God because the purification requires something higher than myself which I can love or I can devote myself to. So whatever suits my personality is essential for me to climb the ladder of my own limitations. At the moment, how am I living? I am living with my limitations. I think I can do this. I'm not sure, I may not be able to do it. This is my limitation. Created by whom? I myself have created. But my personality is such that I am in a position to surrender to something, a name, a form, an image, an altar, whatever it is. I am able to surrender to that. When I am in front of that surrendered highest principle, then suddenly I will be able to climb the ladder of my own limitations. No, I can do it. That attitude comes in that I can do it. So what can be those, what do you call that? That altar, it can be a cross. Somebody who's worshipping Christ, he will use a cross. Somebody who's worshipping a wall like Jews, it can be a wall. It can be a crescent moon as it is for the Muslims. It can be a Ganesha, somebody who's worshipping an elephant god. It can be Hanuman, somebody who's worshipping a monkey god. It can be a Krishna because I love my beloved Krishna in that beautiful form. It can be a Durga who can be Kali sitting on whatever, and then annihilating people. It can be a Kali, if that is the image that comes to my mind. It can be a Tulsi plant, for all you know. Somebody is regularly doing worship of Tulsi. Can be a Tulsi plant. It can be a cow, because you worship a cow because you feel that cow is Gomata. So it can be a cow also. Any image, any name, any form, any altar that suits my personality, that I can worship, that is needed for me to identify with that highest principle. Because I cannot work in an abstract. That is the problem. So some of us have a problem with steadiness of the mind, because mind is not steady. Many of us have that problem. You say, steadily concentrate on this. No, I am telling you, steadily concentrate on this. Mind is not focusing. So some of have a problem with the steadiness of the mind, because it keeps wandering and wandering and wandering. It is never in our control. Even for such people, we have to remember that, what happens when such a thing happens? We lose faith in ourselves. We lose our own self-belief. We say, no, my mind is wandering. I cannot do this. And we sort of give up. That is not true. Even for such people, we have to learn that we have to keep on practicing. Because unless you keep on practicing, keep on doing it, you will not be able to climb the ladder at all. So keep on practicing, remembering always that what are we trying to do in every action, every thought, every encounter of mine, every experience of mine. I am trying to connect with the highest principle, which is making everything possible. By constantly practicing that, we keep on eliminating whatever failures that come to us on the way. And then in time, we will connect with him. That definitely will happen. It is like, going to the mall and saying that I want to buy a shirt. When we go to the mall and then see shirts, that salesman says, sir, ye shirt try karo, wo shirt try karo. We keep on trying new shirts at the mall. The color, the size, etc. of our choice is not found. I have a taste. That shade of copper brown is what I'm looking for. And we are not getting that shade of copper brown. We are not getting. And we are saying that I want size 42. 44 is loose, 42 is tight. You have 43, there is no size called 43 in a shirt shop. So that, and then some other shop will be having that 43 size, but he may not have that copper brown color. So this is the way we keep on trying. We keep on trying, practicing till we get the right one. Now this is what I said this a little while ago. This is called Abhyasa Yoga. Abhyasa meaning practicing. The yoga of practicing. Now, for example, let's say we are having an exam. How do we revise for an exam? We completed all the studies, and yet, as I said right in the beginning, before the exam, we take the book. Arey, ye leke aao. Arey, oh, last exam ka question paper leke aao. Uska suggested answers leke aao. We keep on revising till we are confident that the topic which will come, we will be in a position to attempt correctly. So that practice. Or let us say, how did we learn to cycle? First, mother and father said, oh, you take the cycle. Father was standing behind us. Sit on the cycle. No, Papa, I am scared. I will fall down. Go. I'll help you. Father is holding the seat from the back. You are holding the handlebars. And then gradually the father is pushing. You're pedaling. You're petrified. You're pedaling. You're petrified. And then gradually, This is how our mood changes gradually, because now you're able to pedal and hold the handlebar. Behind you, who's holding the seat? Father. Because he's ensuring that you don't lose your balance and fall down. Suddenly, when he sees that you're actually pedaling and holding the handlebar correctly, he will let you go. Then you will start doing it. But you will go. You will fall down. Again, he will do it. Gradually, you will learn cycling. So, by practice, you will be in a position to achieve that. Like how we learn to become expert eaters. For example, my own experience. When we were in college, we had about 11 students, all of us were doing CA. Our daily routine in our third year was that we will go sit in the parapet of Matonga Gymkhana, and then we will go at about 8:30 or so. We used to go to college very early, 8:30, 8:45. We'll go to one cafe called Mani's Cafe. We will have our breakfast, and all of us will go to our office. We were serving our CA articles. But the beauty was, there was one friend of mine, touchwood God, he's no more, God bless him. And he and me, and he was very bulky, fat and all that. And I was very, very thin, far thinner than what I am now. We used to go to the restaurant, and then Normally, what do we do when we go to a South Indian restaurant? What do? You eat idli or vada, and then you eat a dosa, or you drink coffee. Sometimes you will have a sweet or something like that. This is what we normally do. We will start first with coffee, and then we will have a gulab jamun, and then we will have a dosa, then we will have an idli or a vada, and then we will have a coffee. This is how we were, both of us. The others will say, my God, these two guys are horrible. This is how they behave. Now, what happens is, you gradually become expert eaters by practice. You become expert eaters. Like, for example, in a buffet, if there are 43 items which are displayed, you will be wanting to try all the 43. I am not like that, but I am saying you want to try all the 43. That is how you become expert eaters. By how? By practice. This is what happens. So, assume for a moment, let us take this also possibility, that we are not consistent, we are not very good at constant practice. We have a problem. Constantly we are unable to keep on doing it. We cannot continuously eat, isn't it? And we cannot continuously study. We cannot continuously cycle. So we are lethargic, or maybe we are inconsistent. We are unable to control the wandering nature of the mind. We are constantly active with some work or the other, because our mind is preoccupied. Ye kaam karna hai, wo kaam karna hai, practice, abhi nahi, baad mein. This is the way in which we are approaching everything. So in such a case, in whatever work that you are doing, whatever work that you are doing, no matter what you are doing, keep God in your pocket. What do you mean keep God in your pocket? Always remember that it is He and He alone which is making everything possible. Intellectually you can understand. When intellectually you can understand, how do I bring it into my mind's field of thought? How do I do that? Just remember that it is the highest principle. In fact, many of us would be carrying some locket, some picture or something. Somebody will carry a vibhuti or something of the Lord in your wallet. Many ladies will carry it in their handbag, etc., etc. So that is keeping God in your pocket. You always have faith that there is one God who is always with you in whatever you are doing. Like, for example, you buy a new car, you put a Ganesha on top. Why? God is in my car. He is traveling with me in my car. That principle. Remember always that you are doing whatever that you are doing it for Him. So let all your actions, whatever work that you are doing, get poured into Him. This is exactly, if you remember what we said, Karma Yoga, the way you must work. Karma Yoga in devotion to Him always. What happens by this nature is gradually the mind comes in control, and then Abhyasa becomes possible. Practice becomes possible. So some of us are unable to even do this practice. We are unable to even bring this, remembering Him in our work. And can we at least do one thing? Whatever fruits of action which are there, whatever action we do, the fruits which come to us, are we in a position to surrender that to the highest? Become selfless in whatever actions we perform. When the results come, say, it is yours, not mine. It is yours, not mine. That requires a personality change within ourselves. We want to own our success, but we want to blame others for our failures. This is our nature. We have to change that. That is the attitude that we must change for understanding how we surrender the fruits of action. I am reminded of a Kishore Kumar song from Fantush. Dene wala jab bhi deta pura chappar faad ke deta. Are nang dadang malang jano ko durbeen se taad ke deta. This is a song not so much heard, a Kishore song from Fantush. This is what is the attitude that we must have. Now I will play verse 12 to 21 of chapter 12, and we will take it forward from there.
Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa dhyanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyagas tyagat shantiranantaram adveshta sarva bhutanam maitrah karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankarah samadukha sukhakshami संतुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नोद्विजते लोको लोकान्नोद्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारंभ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौली सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम 12ोऽध्यायः।
Who is a better devotee? Competition, isn't it? So, our mind, let's say it is in a prayer. We are in prayer in the temple and we are looking at somebody next to us. He is also praying. Suddenly we look at him and we feel that he is more calmer, he is more sattvic, he is more composed when he is praying. We don't know what is in his mind, but he is bada bhakt hai. Because your mind is wandering. Or you are in a bhajan, you are doing bhajan, somebody's lead is singing, you are singing with that, and while you are singing with that, you are saying, this lady has come from Acha, she's come from Dombivli. Your mind is wandering. Or she is so and so sister. Your mind is wandering. Or let us say you are at a puja. Somebody is doing very focused puja. I mean, he is taking the flower and say, Om Krishnaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha. He is doing that very closely. And you are watching him. Arey, great bhakta. Your mind is on his being a great bhakta rather than what you are doing. So we think that others are better devotees because my mind is always traveling. This is the nature of our mind. So we start thinking, and we don't know. The other fellow must also be thinking. Although he must be praying, he will, with the corner of his eye, he will look at you. This happened with me when I went to Vipassana many years ago. In one particular day, there is a session called Adhishtan, where for 1 hour, about 6 times in a day, you are supposed to sit in meditation with your eyes closed, hands not moving, legs not moving, etc., etc. Now, and you're not supposed to talk to each other for 10 days. 10th day only there is a milap. At that time only you will become Maitri milap and then you will talk. So the guy who was sitting next to me, I didn't know who he was. He met me on the last day and he said, Hari, what's your name? I said, Suresh. He said, Hari, you are able to sit quietly without removing your hand, opening your eyes and all. I said, how did you know? I opened my eyes. That's what happened. So in your mind, you are unable to stay focused. So how is it that you will be in a position to climb this ladder? In the ladder of our self-development, the importance is in practice. As I said, we have to practice. That is what I was speaking a little while earlier. But he goes on to say, Krishna in this conversation goes on to say that knowledge is better than practice. So you get knowledge that is better than practice. And then he goes on to say that meditation is better than knowledge. And then next he says, renunciation of fruits of whatever action you do is better than meditation also. Then what? Peace follows only when the renunciation happens. Ultimately, what do you want? You want peace. Now, if this ladder, if you were to reverse it, what I said just now, if you were to reverse it, what is the ladder? Practice is important. Knowledge is better than practice. Meditation is better than knowledge. Renunciation of fruits of action is better than meditation. Peace follows renunciation. Now you reverse this with a proper thinking. When I am peaceful, when my mind is calm and peaceful, my practice becomes sharper. And when my practice becomes sharper, my understanding of the knowledge also becomes better. And then when I sit for meditation, my focus is steadfast. And then when I work, it becomes easier for me to surrender the fruits of my action to the Lord on an ongoing basis. So the ladder which has been described in the Gita, if you reverse it, you understand that it is only a way of putting for us to analyze this entire thought and thinking that what is the way I need to do. First, I must have a peaceful mind. For peaceful mind, practice is necessary. When I have practice, then knowledge comes in. When I have knowledge, then I will meditate on that knowledge, and then my control of my mind becomes steadfast. And then I will learn the fact that I must surrender my actions. I must surrender the fruits of my action to the Lord because He has made it possible. I'll be peaceful. The entire cycle gets completed in that manner. So let us learn the art of being friendly to everyone. We need to learn the art of keeping hatred away from our minds so that we don't develop dislike or enmity with anyone. Anger which comes from hatred or attachment which comes because of our love creates dissipation of our mind, because we have created a connectivity with the one with whom we are hating. We are hating somebody, and because we are hating him, there is anger. We are extremely in love with somebody, because of that we have created attachment. Now this connectivity that we have created is created by us and us alone. So we have to learn to keep that away. What is this called? This is the act of ensuring that we don't have a bondage in our relationships. That there is no bondage. Because when you say, what is freedom? What is freedom? Not doing what I like is freedom. This is a little absurd, isn't it? What I like is because I'm hateful of somebody or I am in love with somebody, and I will do that only. Not doing that makes me free from that bondage. I will do it, but not with bondage. So be compassionate to others in difficulty or in their misery. Some people are disturbed or they are in penury, whatever it is. Develop karuna for them. Develop compassion for them. Remain contented with what you have. That doesn't mean that you don't aspire for something more. With what you have, learn the art of contentment. Let new things come. They will come. But don't get agitated if they are not coming. They will come in time. Whatever effort you are putting today in whatever field of work, they will come in time. Don't get agitated because of that. But with what you have, be contented. Contentment is satisfied with whatever comes and treating it as a prasada. Like Tirupati Laddu. You go to Tirupati and you are coming out of the queue. You get a token and then you get a full laddu and all that. But when you come out of the queue, you get hot laddu. The one which you get in the counter is a normal, is not so hot because they made it and kept it and all. This is coming directly from the Lord's feet. It comes there. And when you come there, very rarely you will get a laddu actually. Most times you are getting the laddu in that crumbs form. So they will come and give it to you. You will eat it. They are the same taste only. But very rarely somebody will get a laddu form in Tirupati. That is also prasada. This is also prasada. So when it comes, enjoy whatever comes. Don't say that what I must get in my hand is that laddu only, not the crumbs. The laddu itself is made out of those crumbs only. Understand this principle. So our presence or our actions or interactions should not bring a fear of danger or harm to others who come in contact with us. What happens is when we connect with somebody, when we speak to somebody, when we interact with somebody, it should not create a feeling of fear or danger or this person is likely to be a cause of harm to me. That is the way we must be when we meet somebody. When we meet somebody, somebody must feel, Arey, what a nice thing, what a nice person. How divine I feel when I meet that person. He's always happy, and just in his presence I am feeling happy. That should be the way. Similarly, the presence, actions or interactions of others should not bring a feeling of threat or danger to us. So how is that possible? When I am interacting with anybody, I don't know everybody, no? So when somebody is interacting with me, I must be calm. I should not feel challenged. I should not feel endangered. I should not be fearful. Allow every situation to come and go, because they are all experiences, and all experiences are transitory in nature, because nothing remains permanent. Joy, not permanent. Envy, not permanent. Fear, not permanent. Anxiety, not permanent. They will all come and go. Remain undisturbed by all of these and allow them to come and go. So the song again is a Kishore Kumar song which comes to me. चल के तुझे मैं लेके चलूं एक ऐसे गगन के तले जहां गम भी न हो आंसू भी न हो बस प्यार ही प्यार पले एक ऐसे गगन के तले. So that is the aspiration we must have. That space, that sky under which I will be a place where I will simply love everybody. Everybody will love me, and that is where there is no sorrow, because even sorrow that comes will come and go away like a whiff of wind. That is not something which I need to keep. I don't have to have any fear nor any anxiety. So remain free of all wants. Remain free of wants means I should not have any ambition, I should not have any aspiration. Of course you have, but don't have an anxiety that I want this or that, and if I don't get this or that, I am going to get broken, I'm going to be destroyed. That is not the feeling that you must have. You should be clean in the way you behave with people and the surroundings around you. You should remain alert to everything that is going on around you, and yet you must remain untroubled. I mentioned to you a couple of days ago that my aunt died. So her condition gradually started deteriorating. And as it was deteriorating, we decided that we are not going to have any invasive procedure, because first and foremost age, and that is not going to give a guarantee for her revival in any way. So that you accept, that this is a reality. And as I said right in the beginning, that if you call the name of the Lord, He will come and take you. Why are you worried? He will come and take you when your time comes. Why should you bother? That attitude, if you have to whatever is happening around you, then you will remain devoted to that highest principle at all times. Drop this thought that, I am doing. You are not doing anything. Whatever is the work which is happening, it is being made to be done by you for a purpose. You are in that position because you have to do that work, and you are a nimitta. If you remember, I mentioned last time, you are a nimitta. So that nimitta is what is making everything happen. So normally what happens to us is, we rejoice when things occur that are in tune with our tendencies or our preferences. When the reverse happens, we hate or we get angry. When something or someone I am attached to is no longer there with me, like for example through death or through separation, I feel sad or I mourn. But somebody else's death who's not so connected with me, it doesn't affect me, isn't it? So my attachment is the cause of my sorrow, not the death itself. Death is possible for my neighbor also, for somebody whom I love also. Death is the same for both. But my attachment is the cause of my sorrow. Perishing is the very nature of matter. Correct? When life leaves the body, what perishes is the body, which is what? Matter. It doesn't matter. Why should you be attached to that? So our understanding of this nature of our mind will help us to remain balanced and independent of whatever life situations that we encounter. So remaining balanced in all pairs of opposites is what we need to understand. So whether it is a friend or foe, a friend or an enemy, whether it is an honor or a dishonor, whether it is heat or cold, whether it is likes or dislikes, how is it possible? How can you remain balanced in all that? It seems so poetic, but yet it seems so bloody unbelievable. How can it happen? Really, what this means is that we do not get carried away by our experiences. Our problem is that we get carried away by our experiences. Heat or cold, where are they experienced? In the body. Honor or dishonor, where is it experienced? In our intellect. A friend or a foe, that is love or hatred, where is it experienced? In the mind. So at the body, mind and intellect level, can I remain balanced in all experiences? Then my connect with Him will be the best, it will be the most perfect. So when I am balanced in all my experiences, whether at the body, the mind or the intellect level, my connect with Him will remain the highest. So when I want that, what is the kind of prayer I must have? इतनी शक्ति हमें देना दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना, हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल से भी कोई भूल होना. That's the attitude with which we must approach. So in retrospect, when we look at this path of devotion, as we know, the Bhakti Yoga that we heard, in retrospect, when we look at it, It is basically love which is working. It means that when we develop these qualities in our heart, so that whatever experiences that we encounter, we remain connected to the beloved Lord of our own hearts, who's our personal God. There is no distinction between us and the Lord. So let us not despair, that we are not able to cultivate these values. There are so many values which are being enumerated. You do this, you do that, this is the way, this is the way. All of them we cannot cultivate. Even if you are able to bring one quality or two qualities in our hearts, gradually what will happen is the others will follow. Because even in that one or two qualities, we are still identifying with that highest principle. Gradually the others will also come in. Allow that to happen. Allow that to flow. It will happen, because once you are in this path of understanding that whatever work I am doing, whatever transactions I am doing, whatever way I am conducting myself in this life, it is all with that highest principle in mind. He will grace us with blessings of happiness and peace always. We can really at that time claim to be reborn. The word that is used in our scriptures is Dvija. Dvija is for a Brahmin. It says that once you are born from the womb of your mother, and second time you are born with knowledge, you are twice born. That is basically our claim to be reborn. So with this I will close my talk for today. And if there are questions, you can ask me now, or you can share it to me on WhatsApp as always. Thank you very much. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you and good evening. Have a nice weekend, all of you. Bye bye.